You are holding your phone, staring at a screen that is making your blood boil, your heart race, and your hands physically shake. You have just received a message, or perhaps you just found out a piece of news about someone in your close personal circle. Maybe it is a longtime friend who has been secretly gossiping about your private life to others. Maybe it is a family member who has blatantly taken advantage of your financial generosity and is now acting as if you owe them even more. Or perhaps it is a neighbor who is trying to intimidate you over a boundary dispute. Whatever the specific situation is, the reality is clear. A line has been crossed. You have been deeply disrespected, and you possess the exact facts required to completely destroy their argument. In this exact second, your biological instincts are screaming at you to react. You want to type out a massive, furious paragraph exposing every single one of their lies. You want to call them out publicly. You want to drive over to their house, look them dead in the eye, and unleash all the anger that has been building up inside you. You feel an overwhelming sense of urgency. You believe that because you are morally right, you must strike back right now in this very moment to prove your point and defend your honor. But if you send that text, if you make that phone call, or if you force that confrontation right now, you are going to lose. You will fail completely, not because your facts are wrong, but because you are about to violate the very first rule of the dark. Psychology of timing. You are letting your raw emotions dictate your clock. Robert Greene, in his 35th Law of Power, warns us that time is not a fixed, rigid concept. Time is psychological. It is highly elastic, and it completely depends on your internal state of mind. When you are angry, anxious, or fearful, your perception of time shrinks. Greene calls this short time. In short time, you become highly reactive. You cannot see the consequences of tomorrow because you are entirely consumed by the burning pain of today. Your enemy knows this. In fact, manipulative people deliberately provoke you just to drag you into short time. They want you to strike while you are hot, because an angry person is a sloppy person. Imagine what happens if you confront this toxic friend right now. You raise your voice, you use exaggerated words, and you lose your emotional composure. The manipulator, who has been preparing for this exact reaction, simply sits back, remains perfectly calm, and suddenly plays the victim. They tell everyone else in your social circle, look at how crazy and unstable they are acting over a simple misunderstanding. By rushing your strike, you hand your enemy the exact ammunition they need to make you look like the villain. Your perfect facts are completely buried under your terrible timing. This brings us to the first rule of flawless timing, the mastery of the emotional pause, or what Robert Greene defines as entering long time. Long time is a defensive, deeply patient and brutally cold state of mind. It is the ability to feel the intense, burning desire to react and consciously choosing to swallow it. When the offense happens, you do absolutely nothing. You do not reply to the message. You do not block them. You do not complain to your other friends. You put the phone down, you step away, and you let the silence stretch out. You force yourself to look at the situation not from the perspective of today, but from the perspective of 3 months from now. By refusing to react instantly, you are executing the second rule of flawless timing, forcing time onto your enemy. Think about the psychological torture you inflict on a manipulator. When you do not give them the angry explosion they were expecting, they send the provocative text, they set the trap, and they wait. 1 hour passes, nothing. A whole day passes, still nothing. A week goes by, and you are completely silent, going about your daily life as if they do not exist. Because you refuse to play their game on their timeline, their internal clock begins to speed up. Their anxiety skyrockets. They start wondering if you know something they don't. They start overthinking every single interaction. Did you screenshot their message? Are you talking to a lawyer? Are you silently turning the rest of the friend group against them? By simply withholding your reaction, you take the psychological pressure that was initially placed on your shoulders, multiply it by 10 and place it directly onto theirs. You are making them sweat. You are making them exhaust their own mental energy while you sit back in total comfort, conserving your strength. You must understand that in the game of everyday power dynamics, the person who controls the pace of the interaction controls the outcome of the war. Most people are terrified of silence. They rush to fill awkward gaps in conversation. They rush to resolve conflicts because they cannot handle emotional tension, and they rush into bad decisions just to get the anxiety over with. The covert strategist does the exact opposite. You must learn to weaponize waiting. You must become completely comfortable sitting in the tension, watching your opponent slowly lose their mind as they wait for your next move. But patience is only the defensive half of the equation. You cannot wait forever. If you wait too long, you look weak, and the opportunity to defend your territory evaporates. The pause is merely the setup. While you're forcing your enemy to wait, you're not just sitting idle. You are entering a state of hyper-observation. You are waiting for the environment to shift. You are waiting for them to make the fatal mistake that always happens when an anxious person tries to force a resolution. In the next stage of this sequence, we are going to look exactly at how the trap snaps shut. We are going to explore the third and fourth rules of timing, where you learn to read the subtle changes in your social environment and how to spot the exact microscopic window of vulnerability your enemy will eventually expose. The waiting game is about to end, and the execution is about to begin. As the days of your absolute silence drag on, a fascinating psychological shift begins to occur. The person who wronged you, the toxic relative, the deceitful friend, or the boundary-crossing neighbor starts to realize that their usual manipulation tactics are utterly failing. They are accustomed to predictable human patterns. They provoke, you react emotionally, they play the victim, and the endless cycle of drama continues. But by completely removing your reaction, you have fundamentally broken their machine. You have denied them the emotional supply they desperately need to feel powerful. Because they cannot handle the void of your silence, the anxiety of forced time becomes deafening for them. They do not know what you are thinking, what you know, or what you are planning. To a manipulator, the unknown is terrifying. And this is exactly where you witness the pure magic of strategic patience. A frantic, anxious enemy always makes critical errors. Trying to regain control of the narrative, they will attempt to force an interaction. They might send a casual, friendly follow-up message, pretending that the initial disrespect never happened. Or, more dangerously, they will start frantically over-explaining themselves to mutual friends and family members, trying to secure allies before you make a move. This brings you to the third rule of flawless timing, reading the social tides. Robert Greene emphasizes that power is never static. It flows like a river. You must never fight blindly against the current, but rather learn to read it and ride it. In the context of your daily life, the current is the collective opinion, the mood, and the emotional state of the people in your immediate environment. While you are sitting in your defensive silence, you are not blind or ignorant. You are hyper-observant. You are watching how the environment reacts to your opponent's growing desperation. Let us look at the friend who betrayed your trust and is now spreading rumors to cover their tracks. Because you haven't given them a crazy, angry reaction to use as evidence against you, their stories start to sound hollow, desperate, and unhinged to everyone else. They go to a mutual acquaintance and complain, "I cannot believe they are ignoring me." They are so arrogant and selfish, but the mutual acquaintance, who has not seen you act crazy, simply sees a person talking too much and trying too hard. The manipulator reveals too many inconsistencies. Their toxic nature starts leaking through their friendly mask. Slowly, without you having to lift a single finger or utter a single word of defense, the social tide naturally turns against them. Your silence did not just protect your energy, it handed your enemy the exact amount of rope they needed to hang their own reputation. You must remember that a premature strike is like picking an unripe fruit. It is bitter, ineffective, and ultimately a waste of effort. But if you wait too long, the fruit rots, people forget the offense, and you lose your right to establish a boundary. You are waiting for the situation to mature perfectly, Now the landscape has completely shifted in your favor. You are calm, composed, and operating from a place of mysterious strength. Your enemy is emotionally exhausted, socially isolated by their own gossip, and rapidly losing their credibility. But you still do not strike randomly. You must wait for the exact flawless opening. This is the fourth rule of flawless timing, spotting the micro window of vulnerability. A window of vulnerability is a highly specific moment in time when your opponent's defenses are completely down, they are distracted by their own ego, and the social environment is perfectly aligned to witness their defeat. It is the moment when a single, well-placed, cold sentence will do the absolute destruction of 1,000 screaming arguments. In the everyday game of power dynamics, this window almost never appears when you are alone with the person. It usually presents itself during a social gathering, a holiday dinner, or a casual group setting where an audience is present. Imagine the scenario. You are at a family dinner or a gathering with your broader circle of friends. The relative or the former friend who disrespected you is sitting across the room. They have spent the last few weeks sweating over your unpredictable silence. But now, surrounded by people and believing that you are simply too scared or too polite to ever confront them in public, their arrogance temporarily returns. They feel safe in the herd. Their ego inflates, blinding them to the reality of the trap they are sitting in. Wanting to prove their dominance to the room and test your boundaries one last time, they make a subtle, passive-aggressive joke at your expense. They casually bring up the financial favor they never paid back, or they make a sarcastic comment about your private life, expecting you to either lower your head in submissive shame or blow up in uncontrolled anger so they can call you overly sensitive in front of everyone. This is the window. The tide is right. Their guard is completely down, and their arrogance has blinded them to your absolute calm. If you had attacked them weeks ago in a private text message, it would have been a messy, emotional argument with no witnesses. But now, they have voluntarily stepped into the arena, handed you the microphone and provided the audience. The conditions are flawlessly aligned. You do not break eye contact. You take a slow, deliberate breath. You do not raise your voice by even a fraction of a decibel. You do not show a single ounce of anger, sadness, or frustration. You look at them with a completely blank, terrifyingly cold expression. The temperature in the room instantly drops. The side conversations fade away. Everyone stops what they are doing and looks at you. You are about to execute the final, devastating move. You are about to unleash what Robert Greene calls end time. The entire room is completely silent. The clinking of silverware stops. Every single pair of eyes shifts from the person who just made the passive-aggressive joke directly to you. They are expecting a chaotic explosion. They are expecting you to defend yourself, to raise your voice, and to give the manipulator the chaotic energy they are so desperately craving. But you do something much more terrifying. You do not blink. You lean back slightly in your chair, adopting a posture of total relaxation, completely neutralizing their attempt to physically intimidate you. Then you speak. Your voice is not loud, but it cuts through the absolute silence of the room like a surgical scalpel. You do not insult them. You do not use profanity. You simply present the absolute cold, unvarnished truth of their behavior, stripped of all emotional padding. You look right into their soul and say, "It is incredibly interesting that you are bringing up respect and boundaries right now. Because the last time we spoke, you were secretly messaging mutual friends to spread lies about my private life, just to cover up the fact that you have been taking advantage of my financial generosity for the last 6 months. Are we going to have an honest conversation about that in front of everyone? Or are you going to continue hiding behind terrible jokes?" In that single devastating moment, you have executed the fifth rule of flawless timing, entering end time. Robert Greene explains that end time is the phase of execution. It is characterized by absolute speed, precision, and finality. While long time is slow, defensive, and patient, end time is a lightning strike. You do not drag it out. You do not turn it into a debate. You wait weeks for the perfect window, but when the window opens, you step through it with absolute ruthlessness, and close it permanently behind you. Look at the psychological destruction that happens in the room immediately following your strike. The manipulator's brain completely short-circuits. Because you did not give them a screaming, angry reaction, they have nothing to push against. Their entire strategy relied on you losing control. Instead, you maintained total emotional sovereignty and exposed their darkest secret in broad daylight. Their face turns pale. The arrogant smirk vanishes. They stammer. They look around the room for help, but there is no help coming. The audience, the mutual friends, and the family members who were initially confused by your long silence suddenly see the entire picture. They realize that you were not ignoring the situation out of weakness. You were waiting out of strength. The social tide permanently crashes down on the enemy. Desperate to salvage their shattered ego, the manipulator will instinctively try to deploy the classic coward's retreat. They will throw their hands up, force a nervous laugh and say, "Wow, relax. I was just joking. You are taking this way too. Seriously, this is the ultimate test of your timing discipline. An undisciplined person would take this bait, get defensive and shout, 'No, it is not a joke,' thereby re-entering the emotional chaos of short time. But you are a shadow player. You know that end time means finality. You do not argue with a trapped animal. You simply hold eye contact for 3 more agonizing seconds, letting the silence crush whatever is left of their dignity. You let the absolute pathetic nature of their excuse hang in the air for everyone to smell. Then, without a single change in your facial expression, you turn your head, look at the person sitting next to you, and calmly change the subject entirely. You ask about their weekend. You ask about their new project. You completely and utterly dismiss the manipulator's existence from the social reality of the room. By doing this, you have executed the ultimate power move. You have proven that their disrespect is not a threat to you. It is merely a minor annoyance that you swatted away like a fly. You did not just defeat them, you deleted them. You proved to everyone in that room that your boundaries are made of reinforced steel, and that anyone who attempts to cross them will be met not with chaotic anger, but with a cold, calculated, and deeply humiliating destruction. This is the monumental difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is what animals do when they are poked with a stick. It is biological, immediate, and thoughtless. Responding is what masters of strategy do. They feel the poke, they acknowledge the pain, but they refuse to give the attacker the satisfaction of an immediate display of suffering. They swallow the pain, digest it into cold fuel, step back into long time, map out the entire chessboard, and wait patiently for the exact moment when the attacker is standing over the trapdoor. Mastering the dark psychology of timing requires a fundamental rewiring of your nervous system. You have to train yourself to distrust your initial impulses. When you feel the hot flush of anger, when your heart rate spikes and your brain screams at you to defend yourself, right this second, you must recognize that as a physiological alarm bell. That bell is not telling you to fight. It is telling you that you are currently in short time, and that any action you take right now will be used against you. You must learn to breathe through the fire, step back into the shadows, and let time do the heavy lifting for you. In the 4th and final part of this masterclass, we are going to synthesize these 5 rules into a daily operational code. I am going to give you the exact mental framework to stop being a reactive victim to everyone else's timeline, and how to become the invisible architect of your own reality. We will lock in your new defensive posture, and I will show you how to ensure that nobody ever mistakes your strategic silence for weakness again. The true mastery of these 5 rules does not end when you leave that room. That single victory was merely a demonstration of your newfound power. To survive in a world filled with manipulators, opportunists, and toxic individuals, you must synthesize these 5 principles into a permanent daily operational code. You must completely shift your identity from being a reactive participant in other people's dramas to becoming the cold, invisible architect of your own reality. From this day forward, you must build a massive, impenetrable wall between a trigger and your response. When someone disrespects you, attempts to cross your boundaries, or tries to drag you into their chaotic emotional storm, you no longer view it as an emergency that requires your immediate attention. You view it as pure clinical data. You look at their provocation the same way a scientist observes an insect in a glass jar. You recognize that their attempt to anger you is simply a desperate cry for your energy. And because you are a master of your own timeline, you absolutely refuse to give them that energy on their schedule. A common fear when adopting this level of strategic patience is the worry that people might mistake your silence for cowardice. You might ask yourself, if I do not immediately bark back, won't they think I am weak and easily pushed around? This is where you must understand the critical difference between the silence of the prey and the silence of the predator. The silence of the weak is characterized by avoidance. They look down, they physically shrink, they apologize unnecessarily, and they run away from the tension. Strategic silence, on the other hand, is heavy. It takes up space. When you are deploying long time, you do not break eye contact. You do not fidget. Your body language remains entirely open and deeply relaxed, projecting an aura of extreme, terrifying comfort in the middle of a high-pressure situation. You let the awkwardness build, and you watch them squirm in it. Your silence does not say, "I am afraid to fight you." Your physical posture and your unblinking eyes say, "I am currently calculating the exact cost of your destruction, and I am waiting for the perfect moment to collect the debt." People possess a primal instinct. They can subconsciously feel the difference between someone who is hiding and someone who is hunting. As you evolve and integrate this dark psychology into your daily life, you will reach the ultimate echelon of power dynamics, supreme indifference. You will realize that most of the people trying to provoke you are completely beneath your strategic weight. You will stop haggling over small change with people who have little to lose. You will understand that the ultimate execution of end time is often not a devastating verbal comeback in a crowded room, but rather the total permanent withdrawal of your premium presence. You simply turn your back and delete them from your universe, allowing them to suffocate in their own toxic irrelevance while you move forward into your highest purpose. This is the monumental lesson of Robert Greene's 35th law. Time is not your enemy. Time is your heaviest artillery. The person who controls the clock controls the mind. The person who controls the pace of the interaction dictates the terms of the surrender. When you master your emotional impulses, you stop rushing out of fear. You learn the lethal power of tactical waiting, forcing the world to bend to your schedule rather than constantly reacting to theirs. If you have watched this entire masterclass to the final second, you are no longer a slave to your raw emotions. You now possess the cold clarity required to navigate the darkest corners of human nature. You have learned how to read the social tides, how to spot the micro windows of vulnerability, and how to strike with absolute devastating precision. If you are ready to permanently lock in this defensive posture, control your own timeline, and master the dark psychology of absolute self-respect, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notifications so you never miss a tactical update, and join an elite circle of shadow players who dominate the game of life in total silence. Go down to the comments right now and let me know where you stand. Write your commitment for today and answer this question. Are you naturally impatient, or have you finally mastered the art of waiting? Let it be the digital signature of your awakening. Master the clock, guard your energy with an iron fist, and I will see you in the next masterclass.